The reptile hobby has some of the most amazing creators of any niche. Some would say the best. And today I want to do the Good Guy Awards. The best, most positive creators. Let's give them some awards. My name's Adam. This is Diamond. You're watching Wickens Wicked Reptiles. Stick around. As much as I would love to do this on a red carpet and give everybody the respect and dues and get dressed up in the whole thing, I mean, I don't really have the budget for that. But from my basement with all my snakes, let's give some awards away to some of the best creators that are around. And I want to tell you about them as well because maybe you don't even know they exist. In a world full of clickbait and sometimes there's some drama and the opposite of positivity in this niche. So let's clear that all away and just be positive today and talk about the positive and amazing creators that I would love to shed some light on. So we have 10 categories. Let's start off with up and coming. So the up and coming reptile YouTube channel, and it's not going to be just YouTube, by the way. We're going to do other, Instagram and TikTok and things like that. Either way, I want to give you some finalists and then give the award away. There are some great YouTube channels that are, say, under 10,000 subscribers that are coming up and are coming up fast. For example, I think Ravishing Reptiles is one of the better channels that a lot of people probably have never heard about. A smaller channel that is growing, care guides, and then some other stuff too. So this channel focuses more on how to care for animals than, top 5 this or top 5 that. Another great channel that does the same sort of thing, but then adds in some kind of pop culture, reptile pop culture, is TM Reptile. Really love this. Breaks down things that are going on in the hobby, a lot of gecko stuff. But for our award, the up and comer of 2024, A Life Exotic. I think this channel, just the product alone that the channel is about, is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. A couple in Utah decided we're gonna make what is basically a greenhouse and then we're gonna fill it with reptiles and amphibians, which to me is the coolest thing ever. I love plants and they've got tons of cool plants, and I love reptiles and they got a bunch of cool reptiles and a bunch of cool amphibians. So this is a place where there's snow on the ground and then you walk inside and it's 80 degrees and they have a misting system and it's ventilated and it's crazy. This is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, with a pond as well, by the way. So fish, if you're into fish. A Life Exotic is great. They're going places. Up and coming YouTuber of the year. Our second category is the storyteller of the year. So what I love about reptile channels or YouTube channels in general is storytelling. So you're able to tell a story, captivate me, I'm hooked, I'm in, I watch for the entire video. And the reason that a lot of these storytelling channels do so well is because the YouTube algorithm likes when people stick around. And if you're good at telling stories, you listen on the edge of your seat. And there's a couple channels that come to mind. First is Leafy Street. So our finalist is Leafy Street. And I think this channel is amazing. Not only the long form, but the short form content too. And just the voice, the cinematography, everything is amazing about this channel. You're hooked from the beginning of the video. But our award is going to Dr. Plants. And these two are friends, by the way. I met them both in Florida at Animal Con. Super cool dudes. Dr. Plants, it's hard to find better cinematography, although there is a cinematography category, which we'll get to soon. You guys can probably already guess who wins. His voice is amazing. His work ethic is amazing. Just the way he chops up and breaks down thumbnails and getting the attention. So he does everything right. But then the presentation is amazing. And what he's presenting is amazing too. Some of these enclosures, habitats, ecosystems are just second to none. There's nothing like it on YouTube. Now, I was going to do a best platform award, but this video is actually sponsored by Husbandry Pro. They would have won anyway, but I'm not going to do that. I want to say thanks to Husbandry Pro for sponsoring today's episode. If you're looking for the best way to organize your entire collection, track feedings, track sheds, if you're a breeder and want to track clutches, there's nobody even close to husbandry.pro. This is community-driven software where the user's input actually builds the leading husbandry application. When I say they take feedback literally, you can message them if they like your idea, they implement it almost immediately. I've never seen a company do it just like this. It doesn't matter if you have an iOS or you have an Android, it works on your phone or your tablet or other device, and it's suitable for all type of animals. You don't need to be a snake breeder. It works with if you have lizards or turtles or whatever the case, frogs, doesn't really matter. It works with QR codes. You can actually print them out on the app. NFC tags. This is an amazing state-of-the-art leading in technology. This isn't a boring app that you pick up on your phone. This is the application for tracking your animals. Plus, if you sell the animals because you're breeding, you can transfer from Husbandry Pro from one keeper to another. Also, I love that there's push notifications for feeding. Some of my animals only eat once every 6 weeks, so it could be easy to forget. except for I put them in Husbandry Pro, and then I get a notification the day before they need to be fed. There's always a free 30-day trial, and under 6 animals is free. So if you got 5 animals or want to try it out, it's always free. But if you use my link below, you actually get 6 days for free. So go to the link below, husbandry.pro. I stand behind this app. This is what I use for my collection. Our third category is the Hidden Gem Award. So these are YouTube channels that might have been around for a while, but just aren't getting the traction that they deserve for whatever reason. There's a couple that come to mind. First one is Reptilian Garden. I was a fan of Reptilian Garden before I started a YouTube channel, several years before. So one of the influences that made me want to start a channel in the first place, and one of the influences of how I create my content early on in the day. So I think Trisha does a really good job. Another one, and I'm a fanboy, you guys know this, Troy Goldberg's Tropical Garage. I love Troy. I think that he is, first of all, hilarious. So his content, although is serious and, you know, like he's just showing the amazing things he makes, his commentary and the way he responds to comments is funny too, and just a good guy all around. But either way, if you're into dart frogs, he's probably got the coolest collection, in a private collection anyway. He does the whole thing in his garage, and he basically made, like, imagine a man cave, but you just like frogs a lot. That's it. And he's got the coolest 300-gallon enclosure I've ever seen, with cool plants, cool species. He's into tree frogs now, not just dart frogs. Diamond, you are gonna get the Wiggliest Worm Award today. Holy cow. So as far as hidden gems go, you'd think that'd be the winner, because I've talked about him before, but GS Reptile is our winner. So Gary, this dude, okay, I love watching the channel because serious, and he teaches you stuff, and you know, you take everything that he says and you're like, okay, I didn't know that before, but he's also funny, and just the presentation style is amazing. Plus, he's got some of the coolest arboreal snakes I've ever seen. Some of these animals that he has are just unbelievably cool. Plus, he's got some things you probably didn't even know exist, like Sanzinias, which are, in my opinion, one of the coolest of all the tree boas in the world, or tree pythons even. And they're just, most people can't have them, but he brings them to you and shows them to you, and it's not a, haha, look what I can afford and you can't. It's a, hey, look at this amazing species, most people can't have them. So anyway, Gary, you are the winner of the Hidden Gem Award. Okay, let's speed things up a bit. The Best Series Award. This goes to, well, let's talk about Ants Canada first, okay? Ants Canada isn't a reptile channel, it's an ant channel, but I mean, look at the size of the channel, first of all. Mikey could easily win the Storyteller Award. It's Mikey Bustos, who's very famous for other things besides the YouTube channel. Super talented, and maybe one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. A Canadian dude. Mikey's channel is amazing. The cinematography is amazing. His voice is amazing. His storytelling, the editing, everything about it is top notch. But his series Pandora, where he takes basically a 1,500-gallon enclosure and has an ecosystem with predators and prey and like rain and this whole okay, I don't want to give everything away, and the videos are long, but they're trending. He's trending right up there with Mr. Beast in terms of the trending page. But our winner for Best Series is Reptiliatus with Project Mini Dragon. Now, I will say, Diane and I are good friends. I'm not giving this award to him because we're friends. I just truly think that Project Mini Dragon, basically you're taking an animal, red-eye crocodile skink, that most people didn't know about before Diane existed and his channel existed, that is mostly not captive bred, brought in from the wild, and he's trying to recreate these in captivity so it's safe to sell to people, because these are great animals for most people. These are really easy to take care of, they make really good pets, but because they're imported most of the time, they come in and they're difficult to care for most people. So Diane is taking you on a journey where he's trying to take this animal that he's passionate about, that he loves, and recreate it and breed it in captivity. And just truly and honestly, I think that is really cool what he's doing. His cinematography is great, and his short form content is great too, but we'll get to the short form content award in a second. Our fifth category is herping. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to watch some bald dude in his basement talking about reptiles, and you want someone out in the world, there's some great channels for you. And not just channels on YouTube, but in terms of short form, Staren's Wild World is maybe one of the best. Staren really knows what she's talking about. She's been everywhere, and she does a really great job. She's even been herping with the same people we went herping with in Bali Reptile Rescue, which is how I found her channel in the first place. But if we're talking about herping, a dude who goes everywhere all the time and takes you with him, it's obviously Dave Kaufman. Plus, Dave is Bigfoot, so you actually get to see a different species as he's telling you about different species, which I think is really cool. Plus, if you don't like his herping channel, Dave has about 78 other YouTube channels for you to enjoy. Dave's good at what he does. I've been herping with him all over the world. He's the real deal. Dave really does go to a tree, see a snake, and pull it down. I mean, we've got guides, but he could easily do this without guides. He is the real deal. He really does go herping, and I just admire the way he does it. So, someone that I got to see behind the scenes, and I think that maybe influenced my opinion, But in terms of how much stuff he finds, how often he goes, and how well he shows it, there's really nobody that does it like Dave. Our sixth category, cinematics. The best cinematics in, well, reptile YouTube. I don't know, it's like basically animal YouTube at this point because it's not a reptile YouTuber. There's not even a mention. There's not a close second. It's just Tarantula Collective. Richard is the best. It's not even close. There's nobody even close. Richard is just the best. And he spends a lot of money on the camera equipment, and he's like kind of a nerd with cameras and lenses and techniques and lighting and things like that, but it shows. And it's amazing. When I watch this dude work, it's actually really cool. When I see him at Animal Con and he's filming stuff, I learn things. I did a collaboration with Richard a few years ago, and ever since I've been using his preset for the audio. So now my audio is better because of just one thing that he shared with me. So he's just so good at what he does. His care for his animals are amazing. He shows the coolest tarantulas and inverts, and now he's into dart frogs and snakes, and I think he's got some, cave geckos, some lizards, and just all around a cool dude as well. So plus, I really like his haircut. Our seventh category is short form content. So this doesn't necessarily have to be YouTube, but there's really so many. And I think when it comes to King of the Castle, it's just so close, but I'm gonna pick someone who's a little bit smaller, who's growing rather quickly. So for our mentions, Garden State Tortoise, Chris and Casey are just, first of all, they're amazing human beings. Second of all, their content is really good. Their thumbnails for their long form stuff is really good. And they just really know what they're talking about when it comes to turtles and tortoises. All tortoises are turtles, by the way, but not all turtles are tortoises. There you go. You'll learn a lot more than that from their channel. Reptiliatus is another one. He's got a booming Instagram account, and it's for a reason. I love the way he puts short form content together. Diana sat at the back of a bus in Madagascar, and he showed me how to do it. So if you like my reels, it's likely because I learned how to do it from Dion. And then there's some other great channels too. And one of the big ones, Dan the Turtle Man. So Dan the Turtle Man, I think he's rebranding to Dan the Shrimp Man now. But if you like aquatics, especially turtles, this guy really knows what he's doing. He's freaking hilarious. Dan is so funny. The videos that he makes, like, okay, this is really educational, and then he dresses as Batman and goes around talking like Batman at an actual conference. Like, Dan is a little bit unhinged, but I love his content. But our number one short form content winner is Kayla Roach. Kayla Roach, I was gonna do an up and coming and put Kayla Roach as the up and coming. The problem is with her long form content, she doesn't post enough. YouTube hates that, and that's the reason that if you don't know her YouTube channel, you don't know her YouTube channel. Her videos are amazing, but her short form, she keeps up with. So the algorithm likes it, and it gets pushed towards you. So that's why her videos on YouTube aren't doing as well as her videos on Instagram. They're both just as good as each other. It's just that she posts enough and the algorithm likes you. Unfortunately, if you don't know this, on social media, you're really not focusing on one person, you're focusing on the algorithm. You kind of like trying to please a computer so then you can please humans. Either way, bubbly personality, really great presentation style. She's also, again, fearless. I know she just went to Colombia with another creator we'll talk about later. So I know those videos are coming out, and she's got a bunch of short form stuff on Instagram about that, and maybe TikTok. Again, I'm like 100 years old. Like, I didn't really focus on TikTokers because I don't know how that platform works. Either way, Kayla Roach is a gem, another great Canadian content creator. And I guess we can just move on to the next one because I'm excited about that one. Why are you so wiggly today? And that is our podcast of the year. So there's a lot of great podcasts, and now we're kind of winding down and picking the real podcast from the podcast that people started just because I couldn't leave my house for 2.5 years, which is what the thing was. I did over 100 different podcasts in 2020 and 2021. Everybody started one because no one was allowed to leave their house, but there are some that started before that and then have endured even if they started during that time. So there are some really, really good ones. Trap Talk, everybody knows. It's one of the more popular ones for sure. MJ, it has this brash personality that people really like. And I think most creators in this space are kind of the way that I present this channel, where we don't cuss, just kind of, you know, if there's something that we feel really strongly about, maybe we'll dial it back for a video. MJ doesn't do any of that, and that's why I love his channel. Another good one is Reptiles With. Now, this is a group of dudes from Florida, so Yoshi and the gang, and I really like the way that they present content. This is a smaller podcast, and the way that they film it, I think just the cinematics is what's holding them back, but in terms of actual content, I think that they're really good. I think that Yoshi does a really good job producing that podcast. I assume it's Yoshi. It seems like he's the one always like fiddling with stuff. I've never been on this podcast, but I've been the subject of it a few times, which brought me into it, and then now I just watch every single week. But the number one podcast and the winner of this award, Animals at Home. So I've been watching Dylan since before Animals at Home was a podcast. This was just a regular channel. I learned how to make a fogger out of a humidifier from Dylan. This was years before I even started a YouTube channel. This is a dude who can take anybody's view and take it in and then express an opposing view without offending that person and kind of open up a discussion. There are people who are just good moderators, and Dylan is one of them, period. Also, he brings on really good reoccurring guests. Like, Liam from Reptiles and Research. Animals at Home is a really good podcast, really well produced. It's edited really well. It's pleasing to your eyes, and one of those podcasts that you can listen to, or you're going to watch and not get bored actually watching that podcast. For our 9th category, we're almost at the end here. We've got 2 more. Instead of creators, let's talk about companies. Let's talk about the Best Enclosure Award. This one's tough. Now, it's going to be hard to get anyone's opinion on this because most creators of the size of my channel are sponsored by somebody in terms of an enclosure. I'm not. Nobody pays me to say good things about their enclosures. However, with that said, I got a cages enclosure here and 2 here that they sent to me. I got a custom over here that they sent to me. I got a reptile ready one that they sent to me. Dubia has sent me one. So everybody sent me an enclosure basically. However, this makes it easy because none of them pay me to say good things. And most of them are really good. Now, I personally prefer solid PVC enclosures. So if you're in Canada, Reptile Ready does a really, really good job. They have a website, but don't really have any content on social media. So if you don't know, if you're Canadian, Reptile Ready. But in terms of the best enclosures period, it's going to be between cages and custom. And this is really difficult. Cages and I have been running together since 2020. This is the first people that ever reached out to me ever, and they've always been really good to me, even after the ownership change. And that's what this big enclosure on the bottom is here. That's what Diamond lives in. That's what Frankie lives in. So my most expensive animal lives in a cages enclosure. They're amazing. And I really have nothing bad to say about them. But when it comes to enclosures and customer service, it's Custom Reptile Habitats, period. And I think that this is pretty clear in just the way that I got a very complicated enclosure from Paul. It's this big one over here. The video is coming, 8 foot by 6 foot by 4 foot. It's huge. And it was difficult to put together for me because it's just a lot. The instructions were really easy, but when I reached out to Paul, I got a message. And this is the owner of the company, and he messaged me back in like 2 minutes. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, of course. Put this here. Huh, I didn't think about that. I gave him some feedback on something that I thought could be improved. Oh, you know what? That's actually a really good idea. So it's a company that doesn't have an ego. And I think that's the problem with some enclosure companies. For example, I'm not gonna say the company name. It's a Canadian company. I said to them, hey, you need a litter guard in this because it's like 2 enclosures together and litter gets in the middle or substrate. And I told them this, hey, there's another company who does this. Why don't you do this? Yeah, you know what? I just don't think that's a really good idea. I emailed them this. They didn't know who I was. I put out a video explaining why I didn't like their enclosures. And at the next expo, the guy comes up to me, hey, I'm really sorry about the way I responded to you. We actually do put the litter guards on now. So I think the thing that I love about places like Cages and especially Custom Reptile Habitats is they'll take your criticism and say, hey, this is why we did it this way, or that's a good idea. Plus, it's really sturdy. That enclosure is really big, and generally the bigger the enclosure, the less sturdy it's gonna be. Some enclosures, they'll rattle around or just fall apart. That enclosure, I could throw off a freaking building and it'd be fine. Oh, and I don't even have an affiliate, by the way. I do have a Cages affiliate below. So I do earn a commission if you buy a Cages enclosure, but the winner, I don't even have an affiliate link. So if you buy their enclosures, I don't even get any commission from it. Just a testament, like, just being honest. 2 categories left, and these are the big ones. Education. The most educational award goes to, well, let's talk about it because it's a tie actually. It's going to be between Clint, obviously, Clint's Reptiles. So Clint is, I always forget, is he a zoologist or, I know he's a PhD. I don't know. I didn't go to school. I don't know if you could tell. You can all tell. Clint did. Clint teaches, I think, also. Clint's just really, really smart. Every time I do a video, even closely science related, kind of sciencey, I just think, man, I hope Clint does a better video than this because he explains stuff so much better. But I think with Clint, sometimes it can get a little sciencey, and I think that there has to be like a happy medium. So Clint is the sciencey, but not too sciencey. Everybody can get it. Doesn't go over everybody's head. But if you want something that's really geared towards boneheads like me, I really like snake discovery. And that's not to say they're making their content for boneheads. I'm just saying that she really tailors her content so that kids and adults can really like it, which is what I try to do too. I'm not saying Clint doesn't do that, just the way that Emily explains things, it's easier for people to digest. But I think it's amazing that you have a channel like Emily and Ed's and a channel like Clint's, because some people will gravitate towards this way of explaining things and some people gravitate towards this way of explaining things. So I don't think you can go wrong. That's why I had to do a tie. I had to do a tie. Clint and then Emily and Ed, I just think that their channels are amazing, the most educational. I've learned so much from their channels. And of course there's other channels too. Kevin McCurley, Nerd, is another great example. And I can't really think of anyone who knows more about the behavior of snakes and lizards than Kevin. So this was a really difficult one and I could go on. I had like 10 names, but let's just move on to the very last category, the Legacy category. And the Legacy Award, what this is for creators who are trying to make the world a better place, trying to open up this niche for everybody, bring non-reptile people in and really show them how amazing reptiles really are. Now, obviously, the only person that qualifies above everybody else is Brian Barchuk. I've done lots of videos about Brian. We miss Brian dearly. So Brian's not available to accept this award, and Brian can't make content anymore. But I'll tell you what, Noah Barchuk is the award winner, and there's nobody even close. And the reason is, Noah has been a part of the channel for as long as I can remember. I remember Noah being a little kid in the snakebite days, and Noah had his own channel, but he really never kept up with it. Noah's been a comedian, didn't keep up with that. There's been a bunch of things with Noah that I've watched him progress, but when it comes to Brian, Brian was always consistent. He never missed a video. And then ever since Noah took over the channel, he's really taken on the most amazing work ethic. He worked hard before. I don't know what it's like to be in Noah's shoes. I imagine it's a tremendous amount of pressure to fill the shoes of a man that all of us look up to, even if you're his son. But the way he did it is nothing short of amazing. Noah took the channel, he kept the quality the same. He's kept the same players. He posts every day still. The quality has not gone down even a little bit. So even though Brian was Brian and had that hunger, he created everything. Noah was handed the ball and he did not miss a beat. He hit the ground running. And if I don't know what you believe, whatever you believe, but if Brian's looking down, I know he's smiling at what his son has done with his legacy. And I cannot wait for the Legacy Aquarium to open, and I can't wait to shake Noah's hand and say, hey man, you did a great job. Because I am nothing but impressed with what Noah did with the channel, and I just can't wait to see how the rest of the business turns out. That's it. Those are your 2024 what were the Good Guy Awards. This is gonna be very official. Maybe we can do this like at an event one day instead and actually have people paraded up on a stage and do speech. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below if you won an award. Pretend the comment section is your speech and I'll like it, make sure it stays at the top. And let me know in the comment section below, who did I miss? Who are some amazing channels that you think should be part of the awards next year? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for the Patreon supporters. You guys get videos early, discounts on merch, all that and more for as little as $1 a month. And that's it. It's actually summer outside now. It's like above freezing, so I'm gonna go out there now. See you guys next week.